Welcome to the F+L podcast. My name is Vicky Denton, and I'm your host. Our guest today is Vincent Minard. Vincent is with TotalEnergies based in Singapore. He is Vice President for Lubricants, Specialties, and Business to Business for Asia Pacific and the Middle East. Welcome to F+L podcast, Vincent. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
I'm Vincent Minard, so I'm French. I'm working for TotalEnergies for the last 20 years. Always been in charge of activities within what we are calling the marketing and services division of the company. I've been in charge of several positions of lubricants in Europe, in France. I was in Asia 10 years ago, managing director of Thailand. Then back to Europe to have a global role in charge of the OEMs and international key accounts partnerships. Then after in charge of the retail of the French retail, I would say, the private investor retail. And back in Asia, in Singapore, for the last 2.5 years now, to be in charge of the lubricants and the specialties. Specialties are LPG, bitumen, aviation, for the Asia and Pacific region and Middle East for TotalEnergies.
Okay. So you mentioned you're based in Singapore.
Yes.
Singapore also is the location of one of the largest, perhaps the largest lubricants blending plant for TotalEnergies. Is that right?
That's correct. It is our largest lubricant blending plant in the world, more than 200 KT. And we are using this brand new, I would say, lubricant plant as a hub for the Asia Pacific and part of Middle East region.
This was built, I think, back in 2015.
Yes.
What was the decision behind choosing Singapore as the location for this big investment for TotalEnergies?
We had already our regional hub for Asia at that time, and we had already a blending. And we decided for these two reasons that we had already a footprint in Singapore. The Asia Pacific was growing for TotalEnergies, and we wanted to have a strong basis with our regional teams, a regional hub for production, supply and production in Singapore. So it is closer to our markets, easier to handle with the regional team just located in Singapore. So that's the reason why the decision was taken to be located in Singapore and to address all this region from Singapore easier than importing product from Europe, which is not our strategy. And we started to apply it since 2015-16 to localize more and more in Asia Pacific, to be more efficient, to optimize our sourcing flow and supply flow as well, upstream, and then producing locally and sending to our different affiliates in the zone.
How much of the base oil that you use at the plant are actually purchased from Singapore?
From Singapore, I would say 100% because all our base oil suppliers, which are a few of us on a global basis, are located in Singapore. So we are sourcing from Singapore, yes, directly.
And is that the same case for the additives that go into the formulation?
The additives are, depending on the supplier, they are coming both from Singapore and Asia mainly. Some of them, but a few of them from Europe or America. But it's really, it represents just a few volumes. It's not the major part of our sourcing are in Asia.
So during COVID, which really officially started in the middle of March 2020, did you experience a lot of disruption in production? And obviously there was demand destruction, but in the supply side, how did that affect you?
Uh, it was a big issue, as you mentioned. It was a big issue, and we managed to serve correctly our customers, thanks to the fact that we were in Singapore with a huge facility. So it allows us to be able to source here a lot of base oils, additive, but not and to produce from here. And it allows us with this huge blending capacity to be more efficient instead of producing locally in the different countries where we are operating. It was in fact easier. We suffered, as all the industry suffered, from the I would say our suppliers shortage, namely the additives company. But you know it, and the chemical industry. We all suffered from a lot of shortage because of the lack of chemicals molecules. So yes, we've been affected as everybody else. But the fact to be able to globalize the production in Singapore was clearly a competitive advantage instead of having production spread over the zone in different in small and remote blendings.
So, Vincent, the 200,000 metric tons you mentioned, more or less, that you produce in Singapore, is that automotive, industrial, aviation, and marine, or are you focused on certain segments only?
No, it's both inland lubricants. So inland means automotive industry sectors and marine as well. We are also blending marine in Singapore.
You're one of the largest energy companies in the world. And you're one of the major players in lubricants. Where are you in terms of global market share in lubricants?
On a global basis, we are number 4. Depending on the region, we are a market leader in Europe and Africa. We are a market leader in Middle East.
We have several brands, right? So TotalEnergies is actually a merger between Total, Fina, and Elf. And that's how you got this huge market share. Tell us a little bit about that historical background.
It reminds me good memories and very difficult time to merge all these 3 brands 20 years ago. Initially, Total acquired Fina. And then after 2 years or 3 years after, and I entered the company just after that, Total and Fina acquired Elf. So we had these 3 major brands to handle. So quickly it was decided to have only 2 brands, Total and Elf, during that time, with different DNA, I would say. Elf was quickly dedicated to automotive, and Total was automotive, of course, and industry. And since that moment, we are keeping these 2 brands, and we are even revitalizing Elf for the last 2 years, pushing Elf because Elf was a very strong brand and is still very resilient. Thanks to the fact that we've been acting with this brand a lot in terms of R&D, in terms of motorsports. So the brand awareness is still there with high-end automotive products. And Total, we grow Total a lot in industry for the last 20 years, and we pushed as well the Total brand awareness during this last 20 years in parallel with Elf. And now the brand is becoming not anymore Total, but TotalEnergies, even on our small pack and in our lubricants range. The 2 major TotalEnergies brands in automotive are Quartz and Rubia. Quartz for the passenger car, Rubia for the fleets.
So, Vincent, you have experience not only in Asia but also in Europe. What are the specific challenges in the Asian market that makes us so different from your experience back in Europe?
The maturity of the markets, I would say. Uh, you've got in Europe a very mature market, and you've got a fast developing, which is decreasing for the last, I would say, 10 years in Europe. Market is decreasing because the car park is not growing, the different habits and the drain interval are reducing this global and overall volume. And in Asia, you've got key countries like India, like China, which are booming, which are growing in terms of car park, in terms of industry. So both in passenger car and in industries, these markets are pulling up the volume. And they are not at the maturity of, I would say, the old markets like Northern America or Western Europe. So it's different. The market is still, I would say, the trend is to the premiumization. People are increasing the level of the product years after years. We haven't reached yet the industry, the global industry, the level of Northern America or Western Europe in Asia. There are still a long way to go. So some technologies are coming now, but we are not yet at the level. So this is the trend. Upgrading, premiumization is ongoing in Asia, and there is still a lot of room to grow, I would say.
Would you say Asian consumers are a little bit more sensitive to pricing? So perhaps a premium lubricant in Europe cannot get the same premium pricing in Asia. And how do you handle that?
Pricing is key in Asia Pacific, that's true. But not only. Pricing is the key, that's true. But it is the duty of our industry and us as lubricants actors to train and to educate the end user to go in this way of the premiumization, I would say, trend. It's linked to education, it's linked to behavior. Yes, the purchasing power is something important, but it's not only the only reason why we in Asia are not yet at the level of Europe or Northern America. And I would say as well that it is not yet the case in Middle East, because in Middle East, the purchasing power is higher than the one we could have in Southeast Asia, but the level of premiumization is not yet at the level as it should be. So it's a lot of education, trainings, and I'm talking about the automotive industry, passenger car and fleets. I'm not talking about the industry. Industry is different, because industry in Asia, I would say we've got the same level and even sometimes higher level than in Europe in terms of product application and range, because the industry in Asia, if we take some countries like China, for example, is the state-of-the-art industry. So the products are exactly the same than the one in Europe. So
Yeah, and talking about industry, one of the interesting things that I guess has happened over the last 20, 30 years is really manufacturing moving from Europe and the United States to Asia. And primarily it's cost driven, right? Cheaper labor. Of course, that's not really true today in China, but and that's really what you're talking about, where manufacturing is pretty sophisticated, even in countries, especially countries like China. Tell us a little bit about the impact on lubricant demand and consumption and requirements.
as you mentioned, the industry, if we take countries like China or even Vietnam or Thailand, all the goods, I would say, which are sold in Europe are produced here. So the factories are here, the engineers are here, and the highest and the last technology are here as well. So we need to adapt. We need to adapt. We need to provide high-end products. We need to, and not only products, we need to give high-end services to give them a total cost of ownership, which is, when I'm saying them, it's to our customers, the best, I would say, competitive option between the cost of a high-end product and the benefits they will get from it. So we invested a lot in people, in experts, to train and to educate and to help our customer in this journey. So it is clearly here in Asia, at least the same level, and even I would say a step ahead than what we've got in some other developed region of the world. Clearly, especially in energy, in cement, in power gen, in this kind of sectors. Yes.
Usually, when we talk about lubricants in a manufacturing facility, we're really talking about maintenance people, right? They're not really lubricant specialists. I think in the old days, yes, but nowadays they're more generalist. So the specialization seems to have disappeared a little bit among your customer base.
So that's the reason why we need to emphasize these facts, to train people, to educate, to have on-field training, and to have remote trainings, and to have people on the field to educate, to train, to show how to use a product compared to another, and to show the benefits to the end users. Yes, that's true.
How quickly, Vincent, did demand come back after COVID? So more or less, I would say China and Japan were probably the longest holdout
Yes.
in opening up. Other countries opened up earlier, including Thailand, in 2022. How fast did demand pick up? Or was it basically only demand going down in the transportation sector, but in the industrial side, the impact was not really the same?
Exactly. To be honest with you, we were forecasting a quicker recovery in 22. We didn't have it in 22. Market was still lower than in the past. 23 wasn't bouncing back as well. We see that now for the last few months, we see a recovery. We are not yet at the level on a global market, and we are following this market at the level of pre-COVID, but we are I would say, in a positive trend compared to 21, 22, and 23. Countries like India is booming. GDP is +7 or +8, but we feel that in terms of industry, in terms of automotive, transportation, market is growing. Middle East as well. A lot of investment in KSA, Saudi Arabia, in UAE are ongoing. So these markets are pulling up. Market like Australia is growing as well, thanks to its very strong mining industry. And China, even if it's not booming yet, we see that it is starting to bounce back smoothly, but better than it was 2 years ago, or even 1 year ago.
Asia, I guess, is something that everyone wants to invest in. And so it's really foreign direct investment that's really driving our region. Do you see that continuing? Because recently there's been a lot of things going on in Europe and the US where basically governments are providing incentives for companies to reshore their production. How would that impact our region?
I don't know if it will impact one day or another the local, I would say, local, I'm talking about local is Asian demand. For the time being, we don't see that. Chinese market is huge. Domestic market, mainland China is huge. So even if it's maybe in the past was a lot linked to and related to exports, now we see a strong and domestic demand. So for us, the impact is not so huge. India, there's no impact, clearly. And in Southeast Asia, the main countries like Vietnam, Thailand, or Indonesia, according to what we see on the field, are not affected by this kind of geopolitical decisions. Or there's not any impact yet.
Not yet.
Maybe one day, but for the time, we don't see it today and coming in the next 2 or 3 quarters.
Now, Singapore is a small automotive market, but it's one of the first countries in ASEAN that actually is going to ban the internal combustion engine. So it's already a very small market. It's going to be even smaller. And usually the lifetime of a vehicle in Singapore is about 10 years only, right? Compared to an average of maybe 12, 14 years in other countries. What do you see the future for internal combustion engine in the rest of ASEAN?
In the rest of ASEAN, I would say that market is not ready to switch quickly to EV cars, linked to the fact that the EV charging point infrastructure is not yet here, and it will take time to set up this infrastructure. You don't have any huge network of EV charge points in Indonesia, in Vietnam, in Thailand, in Malaysia. You don't have it yet. The only country where you've got it, and it's starting to have a small impact, I would say, it's in China. And even if in China, the market, the countries, the government has decided to push a lot EV cars, which is the case for the last 4 or 5 years, in terms of first fill, there is already an impact, of course, in the first fill, because there is more and more electric cars produced and less ICE ones. But in terms of after sales in automotive, the impact would be less than 1% in 2024 and less than 3% in 2030. So that's true. It will have an impact, but maybe in 6, 7, 8 years, we will feel this impact above 5%. But before that, we don't see any huge impact.
So what is TotalEnergies doing in preparation for this?
I've got I would say we are preparing ourselves in 2 ways. First is on the retail in countries like China. We've got some activities in the retail, so meaning distribution of gasoline and fuels, and we've got a network of EV charging points, and we are keep on investing to be part of this market in China. We are here in Singapore as well, one of the operator, in fact, with the Blue Charge charging point in Singapore. So this is the retail side. And from the lubricant side, we are developing some technologies that we have already shown to the markets in Europe and even in Asia. We are developing an immersion cooling technology in partnerships with some OEMs, one in Europe and one in Asia Pacific, of course, to be part of this important market.
Do you see immersion cooling as being one of the bright spots for our industry in the future? Just because of the sheer size?
Yes, I think so. I think so. It is the technology that we are promoting, the technology on which we are working in collaboration with major OEMs. So yes, we see that we foresee a bright future for this immersion cooling EV3. Yeah.
Do you see that, or does the corporate see that segment to be able to make up for the decline in the share of automotive lubricants in the future?
No, to be honest, no, because it will never compensate, because it will be not feel for life, but not far, which is completely different from what we've got today with the ICE, even with the increase in the drain interval. So no, it will not compensate. That's the reason why, and we are talking about passenger car, but in the fleet part, the sales won't switch from EV from ICE, sorry, to EV quite quickly. So we see it in this passenger car, but not for the fleets. And that's the reason why we are developing a lot industry in the region, because we strongly believe that on the long run, the industry will still be there, very strong and sustainable. Yeah.
Vincent, can you actually decarbonize lubricants completely?
Completely. What we could do is work on our own processes, I would say. Lubricants, the lubricants world is 3P. Yeah? It's products, processes, and people. So yes, we are working on the products to design more fuel efficient to help our customer to reduce their consumption, a little of lubricants, but more for fuel. So the real impact is on the fuel consumption. So we are designing our products to help our customers to reduce their consumption of energy. So this is the first point. The second part, within our processes, yes, we've been working a lot. I've explained you that we've got a plant in Singapore, but it's not the only one. We've got 11 blending plants in the zone, Asia Pacific and Middle East. So we have solarized the major ones in KSA, the 3 ones we've got in China, the one we've got in Singapore, to reduce our energy consumption. So now more or less it represents this solar energy 50% our own needs. Then after we've been working on the sourcing, sorry. We are sourcing our RBO, refined diesel, for example, in China. We have been working on the packaging as well to reduce our loose packaging, to use recycled packaging for the small packs. So we are working in that direction to reduce and to help the industry for within our processes and within the products we are providing to our customers.
And will that be enough? The pressure is not in Asia yet, except for probably Singapore, but Europe, the pressure is really big. Now, in the US, it's a mixed bag. It's an election year, so anything can happen. Where do you see our long-term future?
In the lubricant industry, I'm not sure that we are really targeted in the lubricant industry. Our footprint in the decarbonization process is very, very small compared to what we are doing in the other, I would say, divisions of our company, of a company like TotalEnergies, where we are switching from fossils to renewable, going through with an intermediate period with gas, natural gas, to limit the emission. Yes, us as a energy company, we are Total, one of the major energy company, a multi-energy company in the world, and we are investing a lot in this transformation from fossil to renewable. So there, yes, we are one of the stakeholders, and we've got strong investment in renewable in already for the last 5 years, and it will be a long journey for us because we are keep on pushing in that direction. And our ambition as a company is to reach net zero in 2050. So yes, we are one of the stakeholders, and we are doing a lot, investing a lot to in this decarbonization process. Yes.
Last question. What keeps you up at night? Are there solutions for everything, or are there just some issues or problems that cannot be solved with the technology that we have right now and the knowledge that we have right now?
In the lubricants sector, I would say that there is not one product that we must find or one solution that we should provide. Lubricants, I would say, is details, is made on the R&D, finding state of the art and the products which are corresponding to our customer needs, and to have key experts to promote this product and to train our end user. So yes, this is related on this R&D and this expertise that we could bring to our customers to help them to answer to their needs.
So basically, you're saying you're very science-driven.
We are science-driven, yes, because our product is a technological product, and we must provide solutions both in automotive and in industries to our customers.
And how do you get that message across to all the consumers, especially the end users? Because that's a tough sell. You know, it's easier probably to sell a bottle of Evian than a motor oil for the same price.
That's the reason why we need experts to explain these technologies and the benefits that they could have by using our product. And on the other hand, we need as well to promote and to be known on the market, to show that we are designing this kind of state-of-the-art technology. So that's the reason why we are investing on TotalEnergies brand as well. So we, especially in Asia, we are partnering with the World Federation of Badminton. We are acting a lot in Africa, being partners of the Football Association. We are acting a lot in Europe with rugby, with cycling, to show and to promote the brand and to promote what we are doing for our customers.
It's very interesting. The examples that you gave are actually not automotive sports. They're regular sports.
Today we are partnering with this World Endurance Challenge because we are providing lubricants and biofuels, and we are partner, in fact, of the federation, and we are also partner of two teams, Peugeot teams and Alpine teams in World Endurance Challenge, because we are providing specific product, reliable products, sustainable products. So that's the reason why we are still operating in this motorsports, and it's not linked to only the brand, it's linked to the technology. We would like to demonstrate that this kind of products, sustainable, are very efficient, and we are participating to this events.
I think it's a very interesting strategy, and maybe one of these days we can continue this discussion. Vincent, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it, and for sharing with us your experiences in Asia.
Thank you very much.
Have a great day.
Thank you.